consequences. There's no excuse. You've been loosed.
This is From Destruction to Dignity with Janice Pons. Each week, Janice shares her wisdom to enlighten, educate, and advance the culture in America today. Janice Pons is a mother, author, and free thinker, and your host for our podcast this evening. Now let's join your host, Janice Pons.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in. My name is Janice Pons. I am the host on our podcast, From Destruction to Dignity, Clinical Perspectives, Spiritual Truths. Tonight, you know, we're going to keep going in 2026. This is a pivotal year, guys. We've got a lot of things we need to stay on top of, and we talk about those things over here. So we've been on this very specific path over here in our podcast together, gaining a clearer understanding about our nation, how it's supposed to work. There's so many moving pieces, and there have been concerted efforts to disrupt our nation flowing to be the best that it could possibly be. No matter what we do, no matter what we believe, we need to continue to pray for each other as fellow Americans. You know, I've always had that number that I throw out there, and I want to keep it before me, the 265,900,000 working Americans who were living paycheck to paycheck in 2024. In 2025, it went down to about 65%, and that's continuing to improve. And as many although there are many people that want to say how bad this current presidential administration is doing, there are numbers that are very much contrary to what they are saying. So we want to embrace around us improving as a nation. Imagine that. We can do this thing. I know we can. I'm here. You're here. There are a lot of us here that love America, and it is what it is. So we're going to move forward. We got an election this year, and there are things that we're just going to talk about. So the majority, a democracy says the majority rules. So the majority of us spoke loud and clear in the election in 2024. We felt 79% of the country felt that the country was going in the wrong direction. And we ended up in 2024 with a GOP trifecta in terms of who was going to be in charge in terms of leadership of the nation, from the president to the executive branch, the legislative branch, and then we have the judiciary branch as well. So we have the Senate, the Congress, and there's a lot on the line with this election that is coming up. We spoke loud and clear in 2024. Here we are in 2026, and we've got 2028 coming up, and it'll be here before we know it. Here we are, well into the new year in 2026. So I've always talked about who needs to be in charge, who needs to be the leader, who needs to be the one that's at the forefront. We know who is. Some don't like it. Some don't like him. Many do. So tonight, in that regard, we're going to examine something that's generated a lot of discussion in our nation, and I would coin it as conservative resolve. Conservative resolve. Now, things are going to heat up, guys, as we get closer to the 2026 election in November, because we actually have people on Capitol Hill, imagine this, who do not want America to succeed. They don't want, they're tripped out that the fraudulent scams and the money laundering fronts have been totally exposed, and the gravy train, it's over. So they have been found out. And that's an answer to prayer. Yes, we ask God, we want justice. We want what's done right in here in this nation for the well-being of our nation overall. Yes, we have leaders that are flawed. Yes, we are flawed. We are not perfect, but we got a whole nation that we got to look out for. So in terms of conservative, we're going to either have a conservative resolve, a liberal resolve, or some people say, well, why can't we have a moderate? Can we have a moderate resolve? Let's look at that. All of these things tie in with the survival of our nation. And from a clinical perspective, from destruction to dignity, clinical perspectives, spiritual truths. From a clinical perspective, guys, this connects for me and what I want us to look at tonight to something that I call backbone leadership. Backbone leadership. That's our clinical perspectives. So let's dive in. Guys, listen. It's important that we never forget the Democrats' feigned outrage over the shutdown back in 2025, at the end of 2025. They feigned outrage over that shutdown that they started. It probably won't be the last time that we deal with those types of dynamics. It's all related to agendas to control and manipulate the masses. Now stick with me. We're going somewhere and it's expecting us when we get there. And a part of where we go is understand, and we dissect things over here because a lot of people, I can just tell, they don't get it. They're clueless. They don't understand the dynamics. They are challenged in using basic logic and deductive reasoning. I'm not. And many of us are not. And eyes are opening up everywhere. Now, while Democrats forced the longest government shutdown in American history, Senate Republicans continued to implement President Donald Trump's agenda that takes conservative resolve. What he's doing takes resolve, and it's conservative resolve. Why is conservative resolve even important? Why is it important? Listen, having resolve means possessing strong determination. Strong determination. You have got to be locked in with determination, firmness of purpose, and unwavering commitment to see something through, especially when facing difficulties, obstacles, or temptations to quit. President Trump's not a quitter. Oh no, and neither am I. And there are millions of us, we're not quitting. There's a lot at stake. It's about having the mental toughness and persistence to stick to a decision or goal, showing resilience and dedication to a chosen path. Now, adjustments have to be made along the way. You just have to make some changes. You have to maybe slow down or move forward. Adjustments may be warranted. That comes with leadership. That comes with recognition and awareness and being able to navigate pathways that are very important. Now, having said that, Democrats initially shut down the government for record-breaking 43 days in 2025 in an attempt to force Republicans to negotiate on the Affordable Care Act subsidies that were set to expire at the end of the year. So over 40 days into the shutdown, 8 Senate Democrats eventually caved and voted with Republicans to pass the funding bill. Democrats, part of the presentation, I always said, people make presentations. Democrats feigned outrage over the shutdown that they started. Now, while they forced the longest government shutdown in American history, listen, guys, the Republicans said, listen, we're going to continue to do our work. So they implemented President Trump's agenda. So the Democrats walked away. Senate Democrats walked away from the shutdown with nothing to show for it, except for a commitment from Majority Leader John Thune, Republican of South Dakota, to hold a vote on ACA subsidies. Notably, this offer was available to Democrats on day one of the shutdown. Now, as the Democrats feigned outrage over the shutdown, they started this shutdown. Thune and his Republican colleagues were hard at work confirming President Trump's nominees and passing legislation with conservative wins. We're talking about conservative resolve tonight. We're dissecting this. In the early days of the shutdown, Senate Republicans confirmed a batch of 107 of President Trump's nominees, in a 51-47 party line vote. We're talking about conservative resolve. Throughout the shutdown, the Senate also confirmed 11 nominees to serve as federal judges. Guys, that's where the battlefield has been in the judiciary branch of our government, and there has been overreach. Oh, yeah, through rogue judges. But during that shutdown, the Senate confirmed 11 nominees to serve as federal judges that were a part of who President Trump wanted in those positions. Since President Trump took office in January, the Senate has confirmed 310 civilian nominations, including high-profile cabinet members, federal judges, and ambassadors. These people have been working, and that's what we pay them to do. Now, up there on Capitol Hill, they get paid $174,000 a year, and they got perks, and we help them travel, so they need to be working. So we're talking about conservative resolve. We're going to either have liberal resolve, moderate resolve, conservative resolve, and where will each path take us? Let's keep going. The Senate also passed several key pieces of legislation to advance President Trump's agenda during the shutdown, while Democrats, what'd they do? They stood on the sideline, keeping things stirred up. Senate Republicans passed 4 Congressional Review Act resolutions aimed at addressing and even repealing former President Joe Biden's energy policies. One resolution even secured the support of Democratic Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania, who consistently voted with Republicans throughout the shutdown to reopen the government. The National Defense Authorization Act, the NDDA, National Defense Authorization Act, also got the Senate stamp of approval, providing an additional $6 billion in addition to the $25 billion allocated in the One Big Beautiful Bill to act or to boost in terms of actions towards the production for crucial munitions, like munitions, things for our military, like F-35S and shipbuilding. Guys, China and all these other folk are building all this thing. We got to stay in it. These things are important. This is why we have Secretary of War, Secretary of Defense. We have all that. Somebody's got to pay attention to that. Our national interest, and a lot of people are clueless about those kinds of things. I'm not. I pay attention because those are the things that'll just trickle right down, and they'll affect us in our everyday living, down to our family members having to serve in the military, and if they're going to go somewhere and be fighting in a war. And President Trump has been instrumental in brokering 9 peace treaties that stop wars, that keep wars from being perpetrated and going forward. In addition to bolstering American military dominance, the National Defense Authorization Act, the NDAA, repealed or amended more than 100 provisions of statute to streamline the defense acquisition process, reduce administrative complexity, and remove outdated requirements, limitations, and other matters. So guys, listen, all of these things, these dynamics are important as it relates to having a conservative resolve. See, it's a lot of moving pieces that people, they're just clueless about. But this requires us, we need our leaders that are on Capitol Hill and in Washington, D.C., in the 3 branches of the government. We need them to have leadership with backbone. I call it backbone leadership. So what's the power of leadership with backbone? It means combining conviction with courage and principle with compassion, creating leaders who are both strong and empathetic. They have empathy, driving clear direction, fostering trust, and achieving results, even in tough situations, guys, even disagreeing, but constructively so, but committing fully and standing firm on values and balancing tough decisions with human connection. Guys, leadership like that, that's backbone that can navigate territory, difficult territory, incorporating those kind of dynamics. It's all about being unshakable in purpose while remaining coachable. You're teachable, ensuring clarity and commitment from teams and handling challenges with resolve and integrity, not just popularity or trends. Guys, we don't need that. We need people that are focused, they have resolve, they get it, what's going on. Guys, there's so much on the line. And in terms of having leadership with backbone, these are the types of dynamics that are absolutely necessary, because we've got this election coming up, and we need people that have that resolve in the context of having empathy, having strength, having conviction, having principle, but they do it knowing they've got to lead and they got to take charge and they've got to get things done. They got to get things done, and I really believe that that's a characteristic of President Trump. So, guys, listen. What have we looked at tonight? Conservative resolve, and those dynamics regarding what I call backbone leadership, being able to step up in tough situations and go, you know what? Listen, we're not going to let our nation cave in, because there's a lot. There's a lot that has to be considered when you have people in charge that know that they have to be strong, they have to be empathetic, they have to be sympathetic, they have to have a clear direction, they have to build trust with others, their constituents, they have to achieve results, they have to have goals. They can't be shysters and developing gravy trains and forgetting about we the people, knowing how to handle tough situations, even disagreeing, but being constructive in doing so. Guys, we can work with people like that. They have to have values. Value the safety, basic safety, and balancing all of that with tough decisions while they maintain human connection. Guys, these things are important. And so we've just been all over the place. What we just came out of from 2020 up through 2024, guys, it was a mess. We were not the priority, and it's come out loud and clear that we were being jerked around. The fraudulent scams and money laundering fronts, we weren't the priority. Illegal immigrants were the priority. So we're getting set free from being snatched around by liberal agendas. So a conservative resolve is just the opposite of a liberal agenda. They will focus on getting biological men in the showers with our women in the military. They were focusing on making sure we provided funding for children to have transition surgery as children when their development wasn't even solidified, puberty blockers and things that we never even heard of, and us paying for the dismembering, burning, and liquefying of our tiny citizens, guys. Those are things that, people want to do that on their own dime, They got to give an account to God for those things and for what they choose to do, but not on our dime. That's not our priority. We got to have national security. We have to have all these things. We got to have conservative resolve. So it's essential to have leadership with backbone like never seen before. There are those who simply want to take over this nation with an agenda that will have us weeping. I say we can't afford to put our country on the line ever again like it was. It was under the control of the Obama, Biden, Harris cabal. And guys, it was just a mess. And so people are finally waking up and going, well, wait a minute. And I've heard, I'm going to say this, there are a lot of people of color, black Americans, they're going, they didn't care about us. And see, there are a lot of black people that have this thought, well, what are they going to do for us? What are they going to do for us? My thing is, what are they going to do for America? What are they going to do for us as Americans? But what people are getting a revelation of is that they may think in terms of, well, you know, Native Americans can think that way. Hispanics can think that way. Even white Americans can think that way. Black Americans can think that way. I've expanded and matured to the point of America. I have America. Okay? So I want to know, how in the world did illegal immigrants who had criminal records of even taking people's lives, why would they be paroled out of prison on our taxpayer dime and be brought over here? And we pay for their housing, health care, education, free money card, and child daycare, while 78% of working Americans will live in paycheck to paycheck and barely making ends meet. That's the liberal resolve. That's what it looked like. So we want conservative resolve. That gravy train has been stopped. President Trump has stopped. His policies have stopped people coming. We didn't know who was even coming in here. We're not paroling anybody out of prison. We had 6 straight months of nobody crossing the border, the southern border, into our country. That is meeting goals. So you can go around all you want to and talk about the man's a goofball, but y'all lying. And you need to get intellectually honest and talk like, and I love that grandma that was up there at the White House speaking on February the 18th in the White House, where they were recognizing Black History Month. And she laid that thing out. She laid that thing out. You go look up the woman, the grandma, look up the grandma who spoke in the White House when President Trump honored Black History Month. She called a spade, and she said, get up off of him and let the man do his job. That's a powerful, it's gone viral. And I'm excited for her. I'm excited for the nation. But guys, we've got to have conservative resolve in the direction we were going. We were going down a pathway that we were imploding, but it's a new day. And we're going to keep coming over here talking about these issues as we continue to go from destruction to dignity. So what we've talked about tonight is conservative resolve and backbone leadership. Oh yeah, I'm all about backbone. I want strong leadership. We had weak, compromised leadership that had an agenda that had us totally compromised. The Obama, Biden, Harris cabal. Why do I say that? Because they were the leaders and they were enabling and empowering agendas that were taking us down a wrong path, that even had illegal. They knew those fraudulent scams were going on. They knew the money laundering fronts were going on. It was a part of the gravy trains, but it's been stopped. We got a new train, and we're on track, and we're going forward. So look, guys, we're going to keep coming on here, and we're going to dissect these things. And listen, I will see you next week. I thank you. I honor you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your support. And the viewership on the podcast is growing, and the reels that I do on social media. Wow, one of them's been viewed 215,000 times. I was like, well, what was I talking about that interested people so much? If they had such an interest, and the title of that reel was The Trojan Horse, and we know who that is. And we're just tired of it. We're tired of everything being about race. We're tired of being manipulated and shaken around like rag dolls and being lied to, and that we the people were not the priority. And all the covers have been snatched off. So we're going to keep dissecting these things, because wisdom is the principal thing. Our spiritual truth is going to always be framed around wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, but in all our understanding, guys, in all our wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. But in all your wisdom, get understanding. And what has been lacking is understanding. And if you look at the mainstream media, they're going to inundate you with so much lies and so much manipulation that you won't understand. There are liberal people of a liberal persuasion that are sharing that reel that I did. If you go on Facebook and on the REELS and look up the one about the Trojan horse, the one that's been viewed over 200,000 times. And it's just, and I'm not lying about one thing. And it's what they have done, what the Trojan horses have done to us in this nation. And I saw what people were sharing, and they were like, "What? Look at what this lady's saying. Is this true?" Well, yes, it is. I don't get on social media and lie. And if I need to make a correction, I'll be the first one to step up and say that I need to make an adjustment. So listen, guys, keep coming back. We're going to work this thing, and we're going to keep going forward because we are one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As we continue to go together, as we pray for our president. This is why I have this seal up here to remind us of the need to pray for the executive branch of the government. And we have the flag behind us to pray for this nation. I'm praying for you. I pray for you guys every single day. Thank you for your support, and I will see you next week. Good night.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of From Destruction to Dignity with Janice Pons. Janice's mission is to provoke thought, bring awareness, and point people towards intervention when needed. As a reminder, this show is not therapy, but for educational purposes only. For more information, check out JanicePons.com or follow her on social media.
We are God power, strength is ours, liberty, been set free, education, affirmation, dedication, information, revelation.